All right, guys, we are back and for another podcast. Welcome to the fourth episode. Thank you so much for joining with me. And let's get right into it. So, I wanted to talk a bit more about failure today and some of the experiences that I've had in avoiding failure and why, on further review of my past, I realized that I probably should have just gone for it instead of worrying about what people will think or whether or not I will fail. So today we're just going to be talking about a quick example about my time at Air Cadets. One of the times, one of the times in my life, which was really awesome, was the time I spent between the ages of 12 and almost 19 at Air Cadets. If you don't know what Air Cadets is, it's basically a military-style program for kids. You're not enlisted or anything, but you basically get to learn a lot of the drill and the discipline that comes with operating at a military level and in a military style. You know, we have classes and we do drill and all sorts of great competitions. We get to wear uniforms, and it's a really great time. And throughout my career, obviously, I would try to advance throughout the ranks and get promoted. You know, there are several ranks that you could earn, and I always wanted to do well and thrive, but there were some things that I didn't jump into. Some things that I thought were just a bit too out of my comfort zone. For example, giving commands in drill. Whenever you see a sergeant bark an order and the squad has to obey it, stand at attention or march or anything like that, that's what I'm talking about. And I was really, really shy even back then. And so I didn't do a lot of that. I always tried to avoid it in a sense. And I kind of regret that, because what happens, though I worked hard and I did well at a lot of things. I was in the band and I did rise up the ranks pretty quickly. There was always someone ahead of me to take the brunt of the leadership. And it so happened that in my second last year, there were 3 guys above me who were higher ranks. So of course they did all the heavy lifting of what the higher ranks should be. And I was very comfortable being a flight sergeant, standing in front of a flight. That wasn't too much of an issue. I didn't have to do too much. I took my orders from the higher ups and that was it. But as it turns out, on my last year, when I came back, those same 3 guys, they left. They had gone off to college or were doing other things with their finishing up their high school careers, and they weren't there. So guess what happened to me? I was in charge. I was the big guy, and I have to give all the orders. Well, how ironic is that, considering that I literally put in 0 time practicing for that, because I always was just relying on everyone else to do that part of the process. And having not thrown myself into that position, I finally found myself being thrown into that position by someone else. So that position being thrown on me, and I was totally not ready for it. And I remember my first time back on in the new year, and I realized, oh my gosh, I'm the one in charge. I'm the highest rank here. What is happening? What do I do? And that was very, very interesting time. I was completely out of my element. It's like I was operating at 80. Let's say at an 8, I was doing pretty good. And then I suddenly got thrust into an 11. And there's a huge difference when there's that much rank and power involved. I literally had to command the entire squadron, and I didn't know what I was doing. And, I wish I had, at that time, I found myself wishing, man, I wish I had tried out for a drill instructor. I wish I had practiced. I wish I had tried the things that were more difficult for me, because then this would not be as difficult and I would be semi-competent in what I was doing. So I found myself in a position not knowing exactly what I was doing, and yet I'm the highest rank there, so I have to exude confidence. I have to portray a certain level of control and competence and confidence, and which I didn't have. So that was an interesting experience as well. And so I had a very, very steep learning curve in the next few weeks. And the thing is, within the next 2 weeks, I learned super fast. And I actually got quite good at it. And this is where, upon further reflection, the crux of why I think failure is something to be pursued rather than avoid it is because once I actually failed enough times and I just did it and I was thrown into the deep end and was made very, very uncomfortable, I learned super fast. And sooner or later, I stopped being uncomfortable and I actually had a sense of what I was doing and I got good at it. And I ended up being very proud of my work. And that happened because I didn't avoid failure, or I had no choice. I couldn't avoid it. I was the highest rank there. I had to do my job. The officers on top, they were looking to me to do my duties, and the cadets below me, they were looking to me for guidance and also to do my job and represent well. So I just had to do it. There was no choice, and my lack of experience made that learning curve incredibly steep. And I can't help but think maybe the learning curve wouldn't have been as steep if I had prior to that had engaged a bit more in the more challenging things, had tried out giving drill commands a bit more and things like that, instead of being nervous and avoiding and hoping someone else would take that spot. If only I had done that a bit more early on, I would have been more prepared for when fate suddenly decided that I would be the guy in charge. But it all turned out great because, again, this very steep learning curve ended up helping. I ended up mounting the learning curve, and that was good. But that was very, very steep, and I had to gain confidence and competence at a ridiculously fast pace. And I did. And so all of that combined just leads me to think that, failure is totally fine. And in fact, the more you fail, the faster you fail, the faster you grow. I would fail here and there like before, but I would mostly avoid failure. And so I didn't grow as fast. But as soon as I was thrust into a position where I was in complete control and everyone was relying on me to do one of the pivotal roles, you fail ridiculously quickly, or you learn ridiculously fast. And the growth is exponential and extremely beneficial as well. And so everything I get from this is that I would encourage you to, if you're nervous about something, if you're afraid to do something that you're passionate about or that you want to do, just do it. Fail hard, fail fast, recover from that failure quickly, and then fail again. Fail as fast as you can. That way you can get to success a lot quicker. Because I pushed off failure for the majority of my Air Cadet career, in a sense. And I would have succeeded a lot faster if I hadn't done that. And it took being thrown into a position where I didn't have a choice, where I finally got over those hurdles fast enough to gain the confidence and the competence in order to be good at it and excel. And so I would really encourage anyone who ever listens to this, fail fast, fail quickly, and don't be afraid of failure, because at the end of the day, what's going to happen? People are going to be like, hey, you did that wrong. You'd be like, okay, I'll do it better next time. It's nothing to really stress about in my mind, and I only wish that I had figured that out sooner, because I would have grown faster sooner. And so with that all being said, thank you so much for listening in, guys. I really appreciate it, and look forward to having you back in the next episode, and I will see you later.